Wrote this shit, January 21. Baby girl, I had to run. I'll be back a couple months. Kendall turned 21. Was up the street with 21. They can see me online, but they won't see me on the
The reason so many entrepreneurs fail to build a successful business is because they put the cart before the horse. You think about all the strategies that you need to do, all the new systems you need to do, all the amount of content you need to make, and then you'll be successful. And if you do all these things, then you'll unlock a phenomenal level of growth in your business. But why hasn't it worked? It's because you put the cart before the horse. Plain and simple, in order to achieve the dreams that you want to achieve, you need to become the kind of person that can achieve those dreams. And this reminds me of a time 3 years ago when I was completely flat broke. I was working a 9-to-5 job, just a dead-end job. I was putting in so much time, so much effort, making this other business so much money. And then at the end of the day, I was being left with pennies. And I had these dreams, had these aspirations of living a beautiful, free life, traveling the world, being able to make money from wherever, not having a cap on how much money I wanted to make. But in order for that dream to even be possible, I needed to completely reinvent myself. And as a result of doing this process, I was literally able to go from being flat broke to making 6 figures within 7 months. But the way that happened, I need to bring you all the way back to how I became a new person entirely. And it was just when I'd quit my 9-to-5 job, I decided to work with this mentor. And I paid him $10,000. It was almost all the money that I had. Paid him $10,000. And I was expecting, cool, we were gonna get the world-leading strategies, the systems, the whole nine. But before we even dug into any of that, he made sure we did things in the correct order. And what he made me do was fill out this worksheet. And this worksheet was called the Binary Options Worksheet. And essentially, you're presented with a set of different scenarios, and you're given one of two choices. How would you respond in this situation? What would you do? What would your decisions be? And by the end of it, it paints a clear picture of the kind of person that you currently are. And it drives this point home that who you are right now is not capable of achieving your goals. Who you are right now is capable of dreaming, but it's not capable of putting in the action necessary to make those dreams a reality. After you identify your side of the fence, you need to become the opposite person in order to achieve those dreams. And I remember filling out this worksheet, and my buddy, who was also running a business, we invested in the same mentor, he also filled out those worksheets as well. And I'd asked him, cool, well, what are you gonna change? And he said, stone cold, he said, nothing. I'm not gonna change anything. I was like, well, what do you mean you're not gonna change anything? That's the whole point. And he's like, no, I'm perfect the way that I am. I just need to be more of who I am. And I was listening to that like, man, I wish I had that level of confidence. That's amazing. And look, he was happy to do it that way. But the real test would be who was going to succeed, who was actually going to build an amazing business. Both of us ended up finding success initially. He built his business to the point of, I think, doing $20,000 a month. I'd been able to, like I said, make $100,000 within 7 months. We both moved out to Thailand within 7 months, and we were beginning the rest of our lives. I'd finally achieved this dream. I had the financial freedom, the location freedom, the time freedom that I wanted when I was working that 9-to-5. We both were able to achieve that. The difference was though, within a few months of us moving out to Thailand, my buddy had to go back home. His business ended up shutting down, and I was in Thailand still. My business was growing. And every year after that, my business grew. It made more and more money. And for so long, I was trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong for my buddy. And I believe it all came down to this worksheet. Deciding you were going to become a new person. Dying to your pride, letting go of your ego, accepting that you had to make a change. And I believe for me, as a result of reinventing myself, first becoming this new person, I was able to execute, think bigger, make better quality decisions, and build a very successful business that kept growing year after year. And it's come full circle again for me now. As part of being in Jack Hopkins' mentorship, he has me filling out new worksheets as well, all to do with what are my good habits, my bad habits, what is my life's goal, what do I actually want, what habits do I need to have in order to become this new person who can achieve this life dream effortlessly. Now, recently I've been very resistant to doing all of this. Not because of the ego stuff, but because changing who you are every season, every year is so mentally taxing. You literally have to mind fuck yourself into becoming a brand new person. Do you know what that's like? Reinventing your identity every year, every season of business. And so for the past year, I avoided making these changes because it was so exhausting all the other times I've done it, even though it was so successful. But now, realizing how much growth I've been missing out on, I realized I can't neglect this task anymore. I have to fill out these worksheets. I have to become a new person. And you guys will get to see the process of me completely changing who I am. So I'm going to show you guys the exact worksheets to become this better person in the middle. And then you'll see all the strategies, the AI, the this, the that. But first is reinventing myself. So I'm going to open up my iPad, walk you guys through all these different worksheets, some of the really cool questions here, and hopefully it's going to shine a light on things that you could probably do as well if you were reinventing yourself. So without further ado, let me dive into this. So as part of the Icon Blueprint from Jack Hopkins, there's a few worksheets that I need to fill out. The worksheets I'm most interested in is number one here, the character redesign task, where you first identify exactly who you are currently, right? This is similar to the binary poles worksheet, where you can identify clear as day what kind of person you are, how you make decisions. So it walks you through writing out your good habits, your bad habits, the 5 things that you do daily, good or bad. Just what are the 5 most common things you do in your day, right? 5 things about your appearance. This is really important. I've redesigned how I dress many, many, many times. The most famous example of this from someone else is Sam Ovens. Some of you guys might know Sam Ovens. He was the creator of consulting.com, Consulting Accelerator, the whole nine. It was a fucking world-changing program. And back then he used to dress in the suit, had the short haircut, very professional. These days, he wears shorts and t-shirts, got long hair, and he's the creator of school.com. And I remember him talking about this, and he was like, yeah, I needed to appear different, dress different, assume a new identity in order to create new things. Even for him, after having made tens of millions of dollars from Consulting Accelerator, he completely changed his whole appearance. So this is really massive as well. And I've done this many times. I used to wear really tight fitting, like polos and shit like that. And these days, things are a little bit more loose fitting. Still appear professional, but it's just a different look. And that's really helped me. Limiting beliefs is really important too. A lot of my limiting beliefs have to do with growing a personal brand, content, where I believe none of what I do is going to go viral. I'm not going to build an audience. And that stuff is crippling, right? Fears that you have, right? The positive character traits you have, all this kind of stuff. And then defining your hero character. It's essentially the opposite of who you are right now. And again, it's very similar to the binary poles worksheet, which is why I like it, because I saw how successful it was in my life. Like I said, being able to go from broke, $600 in my account, to $100,000 in 7 months, moving to a brand new country. That all came from one worksheet. So I like this because it is very similar to what has worked so well for me in the past, right? The other worksheet here is this, your brand pillars. Now, I actually redesigned this. I took it to a different level, and I built this whole new document, right? And I'm going to show you how important this is. Your brand identity worksheet. The big thing I believe about building a personal brand is making it personal. You are the niche. Your opinions, your belief is what helps you to build a cult following. So I really wanted to prioritize that. And some of the questions I've got here, I built out 34 questions to really draw out what is my personal beliefs on certain core pillars of life. The first one is the health pillar. What does being healthy really mean beyond just physical appearance? And this is fantastic for me because in all the content that I'm going to be creating, like the lifestyle B-roll, I can really show what I believe it is to be a healthy individual. And again, these beliefs, by the way, are not built on my current identity, how I currently live my life, how I currently eat, sleep, drink, those things, but on the hero character. I'm showing the version of me that I want to be. It's still congruent, but it's the version of me that I want to be. All right, another one is, what are the most common health beliefs or trends that I completely disagree with? There's one for fitness, masculinity, confidence. I'm even going to add in ones here related to wealth, obviously, because that's a big thing for my thing, is making money online. All of these beliefs, these identity questions, help me identify who I am? What is my unique imprint on the world? And then as a result of that, I can build out my brand pillars. Cool, one's going to be fitness, one's going to be business. There'll be another one to do with, I'm sure, mindset in there. And I can go through and essentially write down how I am going to solve those problems for people. So what is the fitness problem that people face? Not that I'm super qualified to talk about that, but what's my perspective, my opinion on fitness? All right, a big one for me is going to be income. What's the biggest problem people have for income? What's the solution that I prescribe to help people make more money? But more importantly, why is that my solution? If I say that my solution to help people make more money is get a virtual assistant from the Philippines to literally run your life, let them do everything. That's not a very commonly talked about thing, but I've used virtual assistants in my business for 3 years. They've made me more money than what I know what to do with. And they've cost me $3 to $5 an hour. There was once a time where I was paying VAs $1 an hour, and they were running my entire business for me. So why is that my solution? No one else is really talking about that. Even fewer people are explaining why. And that is the biggest thing people need, is a reason why, right? That gives them conviction. So these are the worksheets that I'm going to be filling out. And you guys will see how I go from being this current version of me, my habits, waking up late, sleeping late, not eating the best food, to completely assuming this new identity, showcasing that in terms of like all the lifestyle B-roll content that I have. It's just going to be showing this hero identity, because that is the person that I want to be. So it's congruent. I'm not faking anything. It's congruent with the man that I want to become. So long story short, I believe entrepreneurs struggle to achieve success because they put the cart before the horse. They try and focus on the systems and the content, but they are no different. They have not changed who they are, and so they're going to keep repeating a negative cycle. They're going to keep chasing their tail until they change themselves. It's a difficult thing. It's a painful thing to die to your pride, right? To let your ego go, to accept that you are not the best version of yourself. There is room for improvement. And that is a huge task that not a lot of people do. And that's why I think people don't win. And I've been able to reinvent myself time and time again. My business has made more money with less effort year after year, praise God. And it's because I keep reinventing myself. So if you want to reinvent yourself as well, you got these worksheets here. You can make a copy for yourself, write down these questions or come up with new ones, whatever. But that's what I'm doing. It's worked for me in the past. I believe it'll work for you as well. So see you guys in the next one.